We've got tips and recipes for healthy living. So for fun and inspiration, come and join us in the raw food world.
Welcome everybody, this is Matt Monarch with the Raw Food World TV show, and today we're coming at you with Detoxing into the Spiritual, Part 3. And the first thing I want to discuss is something that everybody was enthralled with in the last video. I was mentioning that when you sometimes are zoned in, you're like staring at the sky or you're just staring at a wall, and all of a sudden you see these little things moving, like looks like a little fuzz on a TV screen that has no channel, it's just dead. Or it kind of looks like the Matrix, like well, people kept saying, Matt, I saw this. What is this exactly? And the answer is, I don't really know. There's only one person who has all the answers, and that's God. But I do know that everything in the world is made up of energy. Energy. Everything's energy. Energy is made up of energy. What if we can tap in to the energy realm? Well, let me tell you this. With a detoxified body, it's a lot easier. That's what I mean when I said you start to see more, hear more, and feel more. It's almost like the tingly vibration of love and stuff like that. It's almost like you're living in the tingles. It's like emotional. However, you get all that love vibration, but also you also get the kind of, you feel the negative stuff too. But when you get a detoxified body, automatically you get enough insight. You get more insight, and you kind of learn how to manage all this and how you can experience more of one rather than the other. And we start to experience the tingly vibration. We possibly start to see, hear, and feel more when we detoxify our body. Now, for me personally, after I was doing this process that we've been discussing about in the part 1 and part 2, I did the psyllium bentonite cleanse after about a year of being raw, a little less than a year, and cleansing my colon frequently. My third eye opened. And let me tell you, no spiritual stuff to get there, no meditation, no prayer. It just happened from diet and colonics and a psyllium bentonite cleanse, which I discussed in a different video. Let me kind of explain what this third eye vibration feels like, which is there 24 hours a day. It's almost like two magnets sitting right here in my forehead opposing each other, like. Or another example I like to give is, if you've ever seen, like in a movie or something, where a wild cat is just looking over a cliff into the distance with just pure awareness, like, this is the third eye, and it's incredible. And all I did was this procedure that we've talked about in part 1 and part 2 of detoxifying the body. And today, I wanted to go into the stages of the detoxification process for everybody here. Stage 1 is you improve your diet by eliminating all processed foods. The more you eliminate, the more you're going to detox. So stage 1 is just the mere act of eliminating processed foods. So now you're just eating whole foods. This is the kind of the easiest part for most people, because when you do this, that's great, But, you know, there's other issues, like you walk by the pizza bar and you smell the pizza and you're just like, oh my God. So it's like maintaining this also. So stage 1 is that. And unfortunately, everybody, this is the easiest stage. Stage 2 is successfully dealing with the detox. So as we mentioned before, when the coffee drinker eliminates their coffee, they go through withdrawals, they don't feel well, they want to drink more coffee to stop the detox, to stop the withdrawals, and they can get that high again. So if you're the person who successfully succeeds the detox process, and the way to do this is colon hydrotherapy as often as you're willing to, because it goes deeper than if you didn't, which we'll talk about a little bit later, that without colonics, you can't go as far. We'll talk about that in a minute. And step 3 is the big daddy. If you thought the first one was difficult, stage 1, eliminating the foods, that's nothing. And then comes stage 2, dealing with the detox. And stage 3, the big daddy, the most difficult one of them all. And there's no avoiding it. It's going to happen. Successfully getting through condemnation. Yes. What happens is you improve your diet, you go through the withdrawals, stage 2, you successfully get through the detox. And at some point, you're going to become weak. You might get sick from detox. This could take many months, years. At some point, you will get sick. You'll feel like you have a fever and the flu, and then you think you need to take drugs or something. What's going to happen at your weakest point is the condemnation from them. This is where they try to get you. Condemnation. So all of a sudden, you are not the same person that you used to be. You've got this like more of like a chiseled jaw with no fat right here. And you think you look skinny, when in actuality you probably look better than you did then. And what's going to happen is your acquaintances, your family, your friends are going to be like, no, what are you doing? This is not good. Go to the doctor. You're sick. Take the drugs. Go back to your old diet. This is wrong. The most difficult of them all. Can you get past it? Condemnation. Okay. If you can get through this condemnation, your whole entire life has changed. It's like a test. I almost want to say it's like a test from God. This is like walking a path of your own. Everybody is against you. Your family, your friends, you're alone. You're healing from disease. You're skinny. You might get sick, but you're feeling great after that. Can you pass the test? And if you pass the test, guess who rewards you? How does he reward you? Well, first off, number 1, it heals the body. You have the ability to heal the body. It's almost like you have these God-given abilities to remove fault from the body if these laws that God has provided for us are followed. And the cause of disease is not always simply by chance. Generally, it's usually a spiritual phenomena. I mean, you have someone who is thin, they eat a healthy diet, but then they get cancer. While you have someone who eats very poorly and is 300 pounds and doesn't have any disease whatsoever. So if it was all about diet disease, then it seems that in today's society where everyone is obese and overweight, that the majority of the people, well, a lot of people do have disease, but there'd be even a lot more disease now. But it's a spiritual phenomenon. Usually somebody has traumatic stress within their lives to develop a degenerative disease like this, such as, maybe your partner, your wife, or your husband left you and you feel betrayed and it's something you just can't get over. Or that your partner is cheating on you and you're just still living in it. And this is just can wreck a person and just cause cancer to form. So I like to think that it's a spiritual phenomena, and when you do this detoxification process, not only does it give the body the ability to heal by awakening your God-given abilities to correct fault, but also it's unavoidable. You spiritually evolve. You get more vibration. There is no avoiding it. For example, instead of make your favorite pastime is going out to dinner with your friends at 10 p.m. at night and drinking alcohol, well, when you start to eliminate all these processed foods, you really can't do that anymore. Or you just don't enjoy going to smoke-filled, alcohol-filled bars anymore. What starts to happen is you start to hang around like-minded people. You become number one in your life. And instead of being excited to go out with your friends and drinking and eating late at night with processed foods, your favorite pastime becomes going to the farmer's market or having an outing to Whole Foods and looking for yummy stuff to shop and bring home for an amazing dinner. So when you do this detoxification process, you are rewarded in multiple ways. Your body has the ability to heal, but also that you become number one in your life and you start to realize what's going on. The next thing I want to talk about is stabilizing out. Yes. This kind of goes in line with the stages of detoxification. I want to explain how this works. So, you're on the standard American diet, and you take the jump, and now you're eating a whole foods diet. Now, before we talked about when you drink coffee, you go through withdrawals, you get headaches, and then you get to a certain point where all the coffee you're drinking has been detoxed. It could take many years, but it's just gone. So you're on the standard American diet, and you move to a whole foods diet. Standard American, whole foods. In between here is all the junk that you built up over the many years. Now, if you can stay at this whole foods diet without veering and eating this crazy stuff up here, which all they are going to try to make you to do, at some point you're going to stabilize out at your new diet, just like you would with coffee. Once you eliminate once you get all the detoxification of all this stuff out, which could take a decade. If you're doing colonics frequently, it happens a lot faster. So what happens is you detox, you detox, you detox, you detox, you detox heavily, 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 heavily. You don't feel well, you have less energy, and then all of a sudden you eliminate all that stuff and you're here. You stabilize out on your new diet. And it becomes a lot easier. However, okay, So we were here, and we were like that. Okay. So here's your old diet. Here's your new whole foods diet. You eliminate, so you detox all of this out. And what happens is, when you detox all that out, you've stabilized out at your new diet. Since all this is gone, your cravings for all these foods, you have no more physical cravings. I mean, you might have some brain cravings where you're like, oh, I remember when, or something like that, but that's just whatever. All the physical cravings are completely gone. The coffee, let's say you're just doing coffee, the coffee's gone. But now all those foods, you got out of them. So here you are at your new stabilized diet. Your body actually becomes more efficient. You require less food to maintain high energy levels because all that junk is gone. So here you are. What happens next? Well, if you wanted to, you could even go further now. You could go from whole foods to raw foods. And then what happens is you detox all of this and you go through withdrawals. So now we're at a raw food diet. And the more you do this, the more spiritually vibratory you become. So let's go back to whole foods. And then we have this. Okay, so you detoxed all the standard American diet. You're at the whole foods diet. What happens next? So now, what happens is you're at the stabilized new diet, and your body still detoxes every single night. It's detoxing all the time. And what's happening is your body wants to raise the bar. Well, in this case, lower the bar and become more efficient, become more healthy. And so what it does is you start to detox the stuff here, which has nothing to do with the food you eliminated. So you start to detox, and what happens is your body is trying to push you forward now. And you might realize it's hard to eat, or your body wants you to eat less. It's almost, or your body's like, okay, I've given up all this stuff. Now my body's like, oh, every time I eat the baked potato, which is a whole food, it's like, I just can't handle it anymore. So your body's like, this is if you're doing the cleansing, and especially if you're doing colonics, it just takes you by the horns, and it's going to throw you into a raw food diet if you're doing it frequently before you know it. And so that's what happens. And as the years go by, you become cleaner, and more efficient. Okay, so here we are. So without the colonics, it is very, very, very difficult to bring the spiritual vibration higher by diet alone. Let me explain what the colonics do somehow, some way. It's very difficult. When you do, people don't realize when you do colonics, more than just your solid feces comes out. You get invisible waste matter, which is gas, acid, and things like this. Now, how can I convey this information to you? You're on a whole foods diet, you're going 3 times a day, you're detoxifying, you get sick, you get through it all. Doing the colonics would make your life a lot easier, especially on the raw food diet. If you're not doing the colonics, the barrier, you're not going to be able to break through the barrier, the vibrational barrier. And this is what it is. In the body, our entire body has waste. And the colon is compacted with waste. If you're going to the bathroom 3 times a day, it's just making its way through this invisible waste. Here we are. Invisible waste. Poo coming through. Okay, it's out. The invisible waste stays here. Poo comes right through this invisible waste and comes out. When you do colonics, you eliminate this invisible waste, which is gas. It's like a pressure. Gas is pressure. And this pressure is pushing against your cells. It's pushing. So your cells are clogged and you can't break through the barrier. But when you do the colonics, you go and eliminate all that. And now all of a sudden your cells can dump more invisible waste matter, gas, acid, whatever junk is in there, and refill your colon with invisible waste matter again. Liquid, acid, gas. And it goes. And then you do a colonic again. You remove it out. Your cells dump again. It's this ongoing process. And it's not just the colonics, it's an improved diet too, because the improved diet, when you eat a crap diet, through the process of fermentation, carbon dioxide, you're continually adding more invisible waste into your body. So when you improve your diet, there's less invisible waste being in your body, and you're removing it with colonics. This breaks the barrier. And on a cellular level, that's the vibration. And this is what we're looking for. Health is a side benefit for a spiritual lifestyle. I have never done any of my raw food diet, any of the extreme procedures I do for any health whatsoever. Health is just a side benefit. Most people, when they go into a raw food diet, they do it because they have a health issue, and they're like, oh, I have to do this. And those are the people that usually, they're not going to succeed. I did it because I was searching for something in my life. Here I was, traveling along, and then this is many years ago, I went, and I rose. I was rising in stature in college and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden I crashed. But when I stabilized out, I wasn't here anymore. I went, and here I was, having my midlife crisis at 20 years old, and I was on this search. And I found what I was looking for. It wasn't a raw food diet. It was a raw food diet coupled with colon cleansing. Have you seen my before and after video? Type in Matt Monarch on YouTube and look at the before and after video. You'll see something completely crazy. And when I felt the vibration, I knew that this is what I was looking for. And it was the start of my path back up. And I hope that people understand colonics. I hope you guys could get this, and I conveyed it here. There is one other way besides colonics to break this barrier and go further, but it's very difficult, extremely difficult. And not only is it difficult, it's dangerous. Colonics aren't dangerous. This is dangerous. Long-term fasting is a way to do it. And this is what Arnold Ehret did. However, he would do 25-day water fasts over and over again. However, he would do enemas when needed. The problem with fasting is you go on a raw food diet and you become toxic because you're going through withdrawals. When you go on a fast, you're eliminating even raw foods from your diet, so you're going to detox even more. And if you don't eliminate that stuff, then you're just adding to the bonfire of toxicity. You got to make sure it goes out. So the reason why it worked for Arnold Ehret is because he did 25-day water fasts, and he did enemas when needed, which was key. But after 25 days, he would break the fast with like fruit or something. And you got to be very careful with this. If you're on a horrible diet and you do something like this and you break it with fruit, there's some you got to be careful. I wouldn't do it. Get supervision. But what happens is you do a fast, you haven't eaten in 25 days, which I don't recommend. I don't think it's good for nourishment purposes either. Your body rejects the fruit in a sense, and it just like goes through you, and you just have crazy elimination. And after his elimination, when he did something like this, he would go into the mountains and go crazy. So a better diet with colonics is like cheating the process. It's like fasting without fasting. It's effortless. You just sit there. Did I say it all? Yeah. All right. So we're done for the day. And this is Mount Monarch. Hopefully coming to you soon with Detoxing into the Spiritual Part 4. And we'll see you next time at the Raw Food World TV.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again at the Raw Food World.